I love training upper body, and today we're training shoulders and back specifically since it's a workout for my Hourglass program from my app. With the Hourglass program, I do include upper body work, but it is focused on back and shoulders, as training back and shoulders helps with creating the illusion of a smaller waist. If you combine that with glute training, you have the perfect Hourglass program. So that's what we're doing today. I'll link my app in the description box down below if you want to go ahead and try it out. I have a free 14-day trial. Starting with a warm-up, I actually started off by walking on the treadmill for 5 minutes or so just to get my heart rate up a bit and get my blood flowing. You don't want to get super fatigued with the warm-up, you just want to make sure that you get going. And then I did some exercises focusing specifically on warming up my spine, my shoulders, my elbows, and my wrists, since I am training upper body today. On my previous training video, I saw some comments asking if I could please match my voiceover with the exercises that I'm actually showing so it's easier to watch. So I'll try to combine that today. I always try to be consistent with my training, but especially during the December and January months, because when I'm consistent with my training, I don't just improve my bodily health, but it's also an exercise in mental and emotional discipline. Because to me, regular fitness often means that I'm setting goals, I'm tracking progress, and that I understand my physical limits. And this can all help with creating a deeper sense of self-awareness. And it also has an impact on my mental health. Things like weightlifting, but also running, can really serve as meditative practices, and it helps to clear my mind and reduce my stress. And this mental clarity is essential for making thoughtful decisions and maintaining focus in a world that is constantly bombarding us with information and distractions. In an era where information overload and constant digital connectivity can lead to fragmented attention and stress, I think that self-awareness acts as an anchor, and it enables you to remain grounded in your own values and your own goals. And it helps to distinguish between what is genuinely beneficial and what is just noise in our life. And by understanding your own emotions, strengths, and weaknesses, you can make more informed decisions, which lead you to better personal and professional outcomes. And for some reason, I always need it most when I wanted less, which is during the winter months. Now that we're done with the warm-up, I'm moving on to the first official exercise of the day, which is an exercise to target the shoulders. We're doing dumbbell seated Arnold presses. So with the Arnold press, I try to move myself in a vertical plane so I don't go out with the dumbbell. I try to keep it kind of like 45 degrees in front of me. But before I start with the actual weight that I plan on doing for 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps, I always do warm-up sets. So my warm-up sets are often 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps-ish. And I usually have around 50 to maybe 90% of my working weight for my warm-up set. So I'll do 50% of the weight that I plan on doing my actual sets with for the first warm-up set. And I do 1 set of 5 reps just to get through the motion, see if I'm actually warm up properly, how it feels. And then I increase the weight to 70%. I do maybe 4 reps, maybe 3 reps, and then I increase the weight to 90%, and I maybe do 3 reps or 2 or 1, depending on how I'm feeling. This is not meant to fatigue myself. This is meant to prime my body for the heavier work. I used to not really take advantage of warm-up sets because I was afraid that it would lead me to expend energy needed to do my actual sets, but I found that it actually really helps me to prime myself, my body, my nervous system, my muscles, because often if I warm up properly, my first set is my best set, but if I don't warm up properly, I'll notice that my second set is actually my best set, because then my body is like fully ready. So make sure that you actually do the exercises as they're stated, make sure that you warm up and that you do your warm-up sets, because it will really benefit your actual working sets. So for the seated dumbbell press, the Arnold press, it's a really great exercise for the shoulders. It has a bit of a rotation in there. As I said, make sure that you keep your elbows in, don't flare them out fully, because you really want to make sure that you protect your shoulders. And I try to move up in a vertical plane, so I don't go and put my dumbbells to the side whenever I'm lifting up and then turn them in front of me whenever I'm lowering the weight. I try to keep them in the same plane of motion. The press was a vertical push, and now I'm moving on to a vertical pull, which is the chin up. I'm aiming for 12 reps, again the upper limit of my rep range, which I cannot do without assistance. So I'm using a resistance band. This is suboptimal to hang the resistance band on the squat rack because now it helps me most where the exercise is actually the easiest, which is at the bottom. So if you could use an assistant machine, that would be probably more beneficial than the resistance band itself. But it works for me because I can do 12 reps with the resistance band. So that's what I'm doing. And then with the last rep of the chin up, I go as slow as you can because you're actually much stronger on the eccentric with an exercise. So for me to really lower myself as gradually as possible really helps me with building up strength. Also, if you really want to focus on bringing up your chin ups in general, think elbows to the ground instead of pulling yourself up. That really helps me, but also do negative reps where you jump up and only lower yourself. But then, obviously, since 10 to 12 reps is more in the hypertrophy rep range, if you really want to focus on building up your strength, I would lower my reps and I wouldn't do 10 to 12 reps. But this workout is aimed towards hypertrophy, which is why I'm doing 10 to 12 reps, because I love a defined back. I love to bring up my chin-ups, but I also want a defined back, so I am doing both, just on separate days. Next up is an isolation exercise for the shoulders. It's the dumbbell seated lateral raise, and I have two tricks with this exercise. The first one is that I always think about my elbows. My cue in my head is elbows out, and for some reason that really helps me to recruit my side delts, because this exercise targets side delts specifically, which really helps with creating that 3D shoulder look. And then the second thing that I love to do is to drop the weight on my last set after I hit my reps. Then I wait for 10 seconds or so, I pick the weights back up, and then I rep out a few more reps and really go to failure with this exercise. It's an isolation exercise, so I can bring it to failure without having too big of a risk of injury here, because I usually don't do it for compounds. Next up is an horizontal row, and I'm doing the chest supported cable row. I am using the arm of my non-working side as a brace that I use myself to brace myself against the bench, which is on an incline. So I don't actually put my whole body onto the bench just because it's kind of annoying with my face and stuff. So I use that arm as a brace. And then what I do is, even though it helps me with preventing momentum, I do kind of lean into the movement on my working side to really get that stretch in my lats and get a full range of motion. So with rows, the arm path can change a lot, and it depends on which muscles you target. So for me, this one is to target my lats. So what you'll see is I have a neutral grip, and I really make sure that I have my elbow against my side, like tucked by my side. If I would have my elbows in like a 45-degree position relative to my torso, it would challenge my rear delts more. And then upper back is when I have my arms like flared out fully, and usually I would have a pronated grip here. But for me, I'm trying to target my lats, so I have a neutral grip and I really pull with my elbow tucked to my side, and the cable is like on level with my belly button, I would say. Now, each arm path does not mean that you will only recruit those muscles. So if I have my arm flared out more, it doesn't mean that I won't recruit my lats. It's just that you focus on specific parts of your back more. And for me, I wanted to focus on my lats because that helps with creating that hourglass shape. To strengthen my lower back, I had the 45-degree back extension planned. However, I don't have that machine here. I could prop myself up against the Smith machine, but I was like, let me do some Supermans because I really appreciate this exercise. It's really challenging and you only have to lay on the floor, so it's like super easy. Then the last one is the face pull. As you can see, I have my arms flared out, so I'm not only working my rear delts, I'm also working my upper back muscles. So you could see even my trap is involved here. I do try to limit the range of motion so I don't fully go back. I try to keep the tension on my rear delts here. And this is just one of my favorite exercises. I feel like it really actively fights me being rounded forwards from like being alive all day and like being on my phone and on my laptop. So this really helps me with actively pulling my shoulder blades back. And then there was really only one thing left to do for the remainder of this workout, and that is to enjoy a moment of peace and calm, to stretch, do some static stretches, to roll out your muscles if you want to, use a foam roller, walk on the treadmill to really calm down, get back to a calm state again, find some balance against the training or with the training, and get ready to do it again tomorrow. Honestly, training really is one of the highlights of my day because I feel like it really brings me back to what we are kind of born to do. And training doesn't mean that you have to go to failure with every single set and go and train as hard as you can, as often as you can. I think it's really important to find something that works for you and that you really enjoy. But just having a moment in your day where your head is exactly where your feet are is really good for just yourself. So thank you for watching today's video, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.